The Miracles and Prophecies of St. John Bosco, a project of America Needs Fatima. I'm your host, Matthew Miller. Don Bosco's Vision about the Education of Youth, Part 2. What must be done to break down this barrier? I asked Joseph Bussetti in the dream. It is imperative to achieve familiarity with the boys, he said, especially at recreation time. Without familiarity, affection cannot be shown, and without affection, there cannot be confidence. He who wants to be loved has to show that he loves. Jesus Christ became little with the little ones and shouldered our own infirmities. There we have the master of familiarity. A teacher who is seen only at the teacher's desk is only a teacher and nothing more. But if he joins the boys at recreation, he becomes a brother. If one is seen only when he preaches from the pulpit, we shall only say of him that he is doing his duty. But should he utter a word or two during recreation time, his will be regarded as the word of someone who loves. How many conversions were brought about by such words whispered unexpectedly into the ear of a boy at play? Those who know they're loved give love in return, and those who are beloved, especially by children, will obtain everything. Such a feeling of confidential trust is like an electric current between the boys and their superiors. They lay bare their hearts and make their needs known and reveal their faults. A love like this will enable the superiors to endure fatigue, displeasures, ingratitude, annoyance, shortcomings, and neglect on the part of the boys. Jesus Christ didn't snap the reed already bent, nor did he extinguish the smoldering wick. There's your model. Then you'll have no chance to see people who work for vanity, who'll punish only to take revenge on their offended pride, or who leave their assistance assignment out of jealousy for the overpowering ability of others. There will be no one who knocks down others in order to be loved and esteemed by the boys. Then you will not see anyone who favors one child and neglects all the other boys. If there is really true love, nothing but the love of God will be sought after and the salvation of souls. When this kind of love wanes, then things will begin to go wrong. Why should charity be substituted by the coldness of a rule? Why is it that the superiors abandon the observance of these educational rules dictated to them by Don Bosco himself? Why is it that the system of preventing transgressions with vigilance and love is slowly being replaced with one of less worth? If neglected, these laws will breed contempt for the superiors and will be the cause of very serious shortcomings. And this happens if familiarity is missing. If the oratory is to return to its former happiness, the former system must come back. The superiors should be always ready to listen to any doubts or complaints with all eyes to supervise their behavior and all heart to look for the temporal and spiritual good of those entrusted to him by divine providence. Then the boys will no longer barricade their hearts. Only in cases of immoral demeanor are the superiors to be inexorable. It's better to run the risk of expelling an innocent boy than to risk retaining one that will cause a problem. The assistants must look at it as their duty to report to their superiors anything that may in any way be offensive in the eyes of God that is brought to their attention. Then I asked, what's the best thing to do to make sure that a family's spirit, love, and trust emerge triumphant? Strict observance of the house rules. Nothing more? The more appetizing course in any meal is a good cheer. As my former pupil finished speaking on this note, I continued watching the recreation with real displeasure, and little by little I was overcome by increasing fatigue. Such weariness overcame me that I could no longer endure it, so I shook myself and returned to my senses. I found myself standing at the foot of the bed. My legs were so swollen and painful that I could no longer stand upright. It was very late, so I went to bed, determined that I would write all this to my beloved children. I don't want to have such dreams because they tire me excessively. The next day I felt myself aching all over and couldn't wait to get to bed that next evening. But as soon as I was in bed, the dream started all over again. I saw the playground, the boys who are now in the oratory, and the same former pupil. I will tell the Salesians what you told me, but what am I to tell the boys at the oratory? I asked him. He answered that they must appreciate all that their superiors, teachers, and assistants are tirelessly doing out of love for them, for it were not for their welfare, they would not shoulder such sacrifices. Tell them they must learn how to endure the faults of others, for perfection is not out of this world, and is found only in paradise. They must desist from complaining, because this makes the heart grow cold. Above all, they must strive to live in the holy grace of God. He who is not at peace with God will not find peace within himself or with others. Do you mean to say that among the boys there are some who are not at peace with God? I asked. This is the primary cause of the malaise of which you are now aware, he replied, and which must be remedied. There is no need for me to specify such causes now. A person who has secrets to safeguard and who fears that his secrets will be discovered is the one who is distrustful. At the same time, the heart that is not at peace with God is full of anguish and is restless, intolerant of obedience, irritated over nothing, and feels that everything is going wrong. And since he has no love, he feels that the superiors do not love him. Yet, my friend, do you not see how often boys go to confession and communion here at the oratory? It is true that they go frequently to confession, but the thing that is radically wrong in the case of many of the boys is that they lack steadfast resolution when they go to confession. They do confess, but confess always the same faults, temptations, bad habits, acts of disobedience, and neglect of their duties. They go on this way for months and months, even years, sometimes right through their 5th year of high school. Such confessions count for little or nothing at all. They therefore bring no peace of mind, and if a boy is summoned before the judgment of God in such a state of mind, it would fare badly for him. Are there many such boys at the oratory? I asked. There are only a few in comparison with the great many boys living in the house, he answered as he pointed them out to me. I looked around and saw these boys, but in those few I saw things that grieved my heart sorely. I don't even want to commit them to paper, but when I return, I shall confer with those concerned. I'll only say that it is now time to pray and make steadfast resolutions, not only with words, but in deeds, and to show that the Dominic Savios still live amongst us in spirit. Finally, I asked my friend, have you anything else to tell me? Tell all of them, old and young alike, to remember always that they're the children of Mary Help of Christians. They should remember that she brought them here to rescue them from the dangers of the world, and with her assistance, the barrier of diffidence that the devil has been able to erect between the boys and their superiors must come crashing down. But are we going to succeed in removing this barrier? Most certainly, provided that old and young alike are willing to endure a few minor mortifications for the love of Mary and put into practice all that I have been saying. Meanwhile, I continued watching the boys and saw how some of them were heading for eternal damnation, and I felt so sharp a pain in my heart that I woke up. I saw so many important things that I would like to tell you, but this is neither the place, nor do I now have the time for it. After all this I've said, do you know what this poor old man who has consumed his whole life for his beloved boys wants from you all? Nothing more than the return of the happy days of the old oratory, when love and Christian trust between the boys and their superiors and the spirit of harmony and mutual endurance for the love of Jesus Christ prevailed. I need you to comfort me with the hope and the promise that you will do everything I wish for the benefit of your souls. You don't realize how lucky you have been to live at the oratory. I declare to you before God that a boy who enters a Salesian house will be immediately taken under the special protection of the Most Holy Virgin. So let us all work in harmony. Oh, my beloved children, the time is drawing near when I shall have to leave you for eternity. Here Don Bosco stopped his dictation. His eyes filled with tears, not out of regret, but out of the infinite tenderness that was evidenced by his glance and the tone of his voice. Therefore, he continued, I am most anxious to leave you, my priests, clerics, and most beloved children, on the road of God on which our Lord himself wishes you to walk. To this same end, the Holy Father sends you his sincerest blessing. I shall be with you in front of the picture of our loving Mother, Mary Help of Christians, on her feast day. This feast should be the prelude to the eternal feast we shall enjoy one day together in paradise. Most affectionately in Jesus Christ, Father John Bosco. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you'd like to see a playlist with all of the dreams we've covered so far on this channel, just click on the link above me here. God bless you, and Our Lady keep you.